Going into the offseason, the Green Bay Packers had a couple of free agent targets. They're their own free agents, of course, Randall Cobb and Brian Balaga, the right tackle. Well, right now, Randall Cobb looks like he may be headed for the free agent market, at least giving himself an opportunity to test the waters instead of re-signing with the Green Bay Packers right off the bat. There are those that believe that Cobb is no longer interested in the Packers if the money is right elsewhere, because the Packers, they don't want to shell out top dollar. Green Bay at this point in time is said to be offering Cobb a 4 or 5 year deal at somewhere between $8 and $9 million. That's a lot of money, but it's believed at this point in time that Cobb can get as much as $11 to $12 million on the free agent market, and he will test those likely test those waters. We'll see if that happens. Cobb had his best season last year, arguably one of the top slot receivers in the National Football League, but last season was really the first season where he stayed healthy. So when you deal with the pros and cons of, should we make the offer? Should we have him back or shouldn't we have him back? Well, that's one strike against Randall Cobb. He had a great year last year and stayed healthy, and that's good for him, but it's the first time that he's done that. Is he going to be able to do that moving forward? If you invest a lot of money in a slot receiver like Randall Cobb is hoping to get, you're taking the risk of having that money sitting on the sidelines injured. We'll see what Cobb's future is in terms of the injury department is. Many football people believe slot receivers are, for lack of a better term, a dime a dozen. There are the Julian Edelmans of the world who, were not high draft picks, but were developed and have become excellent slot receivers. And there are certainly instances where that is true. Therefore, you pay your big money at the wide receiver department to the speedy, outside, skilled big guys. And slot receivers you kind of just develop, and if they leave in free agency, they leave. And you just go out and find another. Certainly the Packers have some candidates on their roster right now. Unproven is certainly the key word here, but they do have some prospects. Jared Abbrederis, the former Badger, was hurt in the first week of training camp. ACL injury, sat the whole year. He will be back and ready to go in time for training camp. And there's an option right there. Jeff Janis, a seventh-round draft pick, played with the team all of last season, but was only active for a couple of games. Yet the Packers are very high on his ability as well. And even Miles White, who has been with this team for the last 2 or 3 years, been on the practice squad. He also is a candidate at this point in time that the Packers could plug in. Then there's the draft. Wide receiver position pretty thick in the draft and pretty stacked in the draft. So the Packers also have an opportunity to visit a wide receiver in the draft as well. So, again, those are some of the scenarios where the Green Bay Packers come from. They just historically do not like to overspend at any position, and certainly the slot receiver position probably ranks right up there. Difficult loss, though, if the Packers do lose Randall Cobb. I mean, he was good for this football team last year. Not only did he stack up incredible numbers, but he did so not only at the slot receiver position, but he was a matchup nightmare for teams by lining up in the backfield at times for the Packers last year. Don't think that if he leaves, the Green Bay won't miss that. Now, they'll try to duplicate it. They'll try to find somebody else to do it, but there was a unique talent that the table, and he was able to help the Packers in that way. So, there is a loss. Not to mention what happens to Jordy Nelson on the outside. Don't think for 1 minute again that Jordy Nelson wasn't aided by the outstanding production on the inside from the slot by Randall Cobb. It made Nelson a better receiver. Now, the Packers may be able to go find somebody and develop them into a Cobb-like possession, but I caution you to not get sucked up into that, because trying to find another player to put up Cobb-like numbers is not going to be easy, and it may not happen right off the bat in the first season. So something to consider as well, that Jordy Nelson's production certainly could suffer a little bit if more teams start to consider even doubling him more than what they have already, based on the fact that Randall Cobb wouldn't be in Green Bay returning with the Packers as a slot receiver. So it would appear Cobb is off for more money at this point in time. There's always the possibility that could dry up when he gets there, and he may come back to the Packers and take whatever their offer is at that time. Again, there appears to be teams out there willing to throw a lot of money at Cobb, and he's in a scenario where he probably wants to just test the waters. Does he jump at big money, or is he just testing the waters, maybe trying to get the Packers to up the ante a little bit? We'll see. So that's kind of where the Packers are with the Randall Cobb situation. It certainly is an interesting one because I think we were all led to believe that this was going to be a pretty safe bet, that the Packers wanted Randall Cobb back and would find a way to bring him back. Now Cobb and his agent Jimmy Sexton, apparently the figure is climbing higher and higher as we go along, and they have almost priced themselves right out of what the Packers would like to spend. So how much will he miss Aaron Rodgers? That's another consideration for the receiver, Randall Cobb. He's going to go someplace to Jacksonville or Oakland where the quarterbacks are up and coming, but probably not anywhere near in terms of development. Will they even get to the development of one Aaron Rodgers? So, you leave a good football team for more money, but just ask Greg Jennings how that worked out. Get my point? All right. Will be interesting to watch. Packers have until Saturday as in terms of exclusive negotiating rights and then exclusive signing rights through next Tuesday. Free agency officially begins on March the 10th. That'll do it. We'll keep our eye on Randall Cobb, and we'll be back with any future thoughts on that.